Hi there. This is not Erin. She's getting ready for commencement ceremony. She's moving out of the Chase Hall, getting things packed. I think they had a final regimental review this morning. I think there were some breakfasts they had to attend. And tomorrow is their big graduation day. And I asked her, I said, hey, you've been doing these YouTube videos through the pandemic, through the academy. I think she started them as a result of being bored in her dorm room because they were all on lockdown there for a couple years. And I asked her, I said, hey, what is your final video going to be? What are you going to do for it? And she goes, Dad, I don't have time to pull this thing off. I'm trying to graduate and get the heck out of here. And all in a positive way, things are going really, really well. And we kind of talked about it over dinner, but her mind is really focused on logistics and getting to her next billet on time. And some of you may have picked up on some other dynamics happening in her life that were fitting in as well. There was that boy thing that I think some of you mentioned, or maybe it was some of you saw a ring on her finger. So a lot of things going on our side, and I just figured that I would hop on here and maybe I can help her pull this thing together for at least, what do they call it, an epilogue? Is that what you call it when you have the final say at the very end? It's been a good ride. The one thing that I see on the parent group, I know some of you, she got a couple thousand people here checking in. Some of you are parents. I thought maybe I could use this video to maybe help her finish up, but also provide some of the insight that maybe a parent sees when they're going through this process. Because if you are planning on being an academy parent, or you having a cadet here, every year is a little bit different. I think the conversation right now for the incoming swabs is whether or not you have the right color socks, or maybe it's the height of the socks, whether to bring things that you don't need, whether to bring a backpack. Sometimes I want to jump in and give my advice as a parent, but of course I've got 4 years experience now, so my perspective has already changed. I think one of the most important things to remember more than anything else is the cadets go through this with a couple hundred. I think her class started at 283, maybe it's now down to 250. But these cadets, they go through this process with each other, and we as parents have our roles, and we already have our established relationships. Sometimes I hear the boys don't communicate as much as the girls do. Sometimes I hear that parents get involved a lot. Sometimes I hear that parents don't get involved a lot. I think those dynamics are going to be personal to you and your family. But more importantly, just know that the cadets have each other, and that's what this process is supposed to do. The adults that are here on campus or outside the campus in their various activities, such as sports. I think Erin really got involved in the OCF program. That's the Officer Christian Fellowship program. We just went through a ceremony recently with that. I think it was yesterday for a morning breakfast. And that was a room full of other Christian cadets who really had some mentorship. And that's the whole thing. I don't know whether you're cadet or your thoughts on this, or maybe even some of you I know are retired military or even active military. It all comes down to your colleagues. And so I think academy, making that connection with a coach, sometimes with a custodian, sometimes with a mentor like Erin did with Carl Crabtree and Chrissy Crabtree at OCF, and having a retreat and a facility to go to, not only off campus here, but Erin ended up, I think she shared that in her videos, multiple places around the country as a result of that. So be there as a parent, but also trust the development of their own network, and always encourage them to get involved in other programs. The academics, I think the academics are probably the most controlled. There's a lot of resources. They don't invest in these cadets if they don't want them here. So I think failing comes down to a cadet not tapping into the resources soon enough. And even then there's safeguards that jump in and help them out. So I didn't know what I was going to start saying when I turned on the camera. I'm just, like I say, my Lucy, my wife, and my youngest daughter, I think they've been referenced a couple times in the video. They're doing some final shopping, getting ready for the events for the next couple days. So I didn't know what my message was going to be, but I think the message is there is a parent side of this, and talk to your parent groups, get involved in your online chats. I think a lot of stuff happens on Facebook. Encourage your cadet to make those connections with each other, build that friend network. If you don't hear anything, that's usually the good news. No news is good news. If there was a problem, somebody would connect you. But a lot of times, as parents, we've done this job for so long, we want to jump in and help out. But the truth is, the cadets really, their goal is to have this experience together, and then where Erin is right now, deployed to the fleet as an ensign. And so she's ready. She's a different person now than she was when she started. Not sure whether she'll get back and do any more of these videos or not. She knows it was fun while she was here, and she spoke to me often about it. It's like, Dad, how candid do I want to be? I know I'm going into a military career, and we just openly talked about it. And again, COVID kind of changed things there for a while. So she just went direct, and she says, well, what I can share is who I am. If I'm sitting in my room, I'm not making a difference for others. And if I start putting some of these videos together, maybe there's some kids out there that have questions that haven't been answered. I know she was in contact with some of her supervisors too, to make sure that everything was appropriate. So she was double checking along the way. Yeah, it's a good time. Commencement. They call it commencement for a reason, right? It's a beginning and an end. And even as a parent, we're kind of feeling it here a little bit. Hey, so I'll try to wrap this up. I wanted to keep this one short, but maybe wanted to fit in a few videos along the way. I probably should maybe show a couple of shots of the graduation ceremony. I'll get those tomorrow, and then maybe a couple shots of everything coming to an end, and loaded up in their vehicles and headed down the road for a new life. And so we will reconnect down at our new station, and our role as parents will change a little bit, because now we'll be supporting somebody who's active duty and not a cadet on the campus. And here's something to think about too. Every night, one thing you think about is they're on a campus. They're locked down on a campus behind security. And so if you're thinking about the Coast Guard Academy, there's a lot of pros and there's a lot of cons. But I slept well every night knowing exactly where she was, and that she was there with over 1,000 other cadets and staff that had a very, very clear mission. So you as a parent, figure out what your mission is, figure out what your role is, do your role well, and more importantly, trust your cadet, because they're going to grow a lot in the next 4 years. So good talking to you, and hope to see some of you around.
Dad's a videographer all of a sudden. Just getting all your lasts. Gotta watch the hitches over here.
I'm not going to tell you because it'll stress you out, but I'm going to finish your YouTube video for you. Anything do you want to say to your people?
It's been a busy time. It's been a great time. But the biggest priority is right where you're at, to be present with the people you have surrounding you. So that's what I'm doing.